Welcome back to Jim's Jeeps. Today we're going to talk about what's been going on with the new engine install. Thanks for joining us today. So you saw in the last video we had an oil control issue, we thought on cylinder number 1. It actually wasn't on cylinder number 1. The EGR valve, which is this silver valve right here, was actually causing a very rich mixture. And because the engine is tilted slightly, the favored cylinders are the top 1 or 2 or perhaps 3 cylinders on the engine. And so all that excess fuel and air and everything else was coming up into cylinder 1. By the time the O2 sensor got around to adjusting the mixture, cylinders 4, 5, and 6 were burning fine. And so I thought I had an oil control issue on cylinder number 1. I took the cylinder out, I re-honed the cylinder, I put new rings on it, reinstalled the cylinder, put the oil pan back on, put the valve cover back on, put all the accessories back on the front of the engine, started it up, and we still have blue smoke out the tailpipe after the oil heats up. When the oil heats up, it gets a little thinner, and it's leaking down either through the rings or perhaps the valve seals at the top of the engine. I haven't quite figured it out yet. It's not terrible, but it's certainly not the way I want it. I'm going to let this roll for a little while, and we'll see if maybe some of the rings aren't just totally set in yet or whatever. I'm actually going to bring this Jeep down to the Ocean City Jeep Week in Ocean City, Maryland, the end of the month. I think I'll be down there on Friday the 26th or something like that. And then that'll be a long ride for it to get down there and back. It drives fine, it runs fine, idles fine, no longer fouling any of the plugs. It's just got a small oil leak into the combustion chamber when it's warm and after it's been like sitting at a light or idling for a period of time. I don't know if it's actually doing it as the engine's running. It very well could be, but I don't really have a way to see that. So I'm going to monitor oil usage. It's really not burning any oil as far as the dipstick's concerned, but certainly it's coming from somewhere, and it's kind of mind-boggling at this point. I went and talked to the machine shop that I work with, and his opinion was it's not the valve seals, it's not the valve guides, and he actually didn't do the work on this block here. This was done actually 10 years ago by a shop in Pensacola, Florida. So I think what we're going to do is the engine I pulled out of here, which is exactly the same engine, we're going to go ahead and start a rebuild on that and get it machined, get it painted properly. The engine paint I used on this one was not Bill Hirsch automotive engine paint, and so it's just not holding up that great. It's okay, but it was a rattle can VHT, I think. It's doing all right. You can see it's holding up okay, but not really what I want it to be. So this engine will be in the vehicle for at least about a year, and then I'll pull it out and I'll put the one in that we'll rebuild. So that's what's been going on with that. Let me start it up and I'll show you. She runs just fine, and I'll be showing you that next. So it runs great. I did change the oil on it once already. I didn't change the filter. I'm going to do that probably around the 3rd week of September after I get a few more miles on it. It's a Wix filter, so it's a good quality filter. That should be holding up just fine. Don't know if it'll do it yet, but we'll see if we can see what the tailpipe's doing. So that's what the tailpipe's doing. It's kind of not a great problem to solve. Again, we We don't think it's the rings, maybe they're not seated. We don't think it's the valve seals, but it might be. So I'm gonna run it for a little while and see where we go. I'll give you guys an update in a little while, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed on where we are on this 89 YJ. Thanks for joining Jim's Jeeps today. We'll see you on the next video.